Hi everybody, Mike Shepard here. I'm the political editor at the Bangor Daily News. I'm just here to answer a few of your questions that have been coming in throughout the night so far, and to weigh in on some stuff that you ask us here right now. So please, if you have questions about election night, comment below. We're going to start off by just talking about calls. Early in the night, we called, very early on, about 9 p.m., we called Sarah Gideon as the winner of the U.S. Senate Democratic primary with our partners at Decisions Desk HQ. I just want to explain why we do that so early in the night. So we called that race when there are only about 3.6% of precincts reporting in Maine, and the reason for that is that we have, we were seeing, very little difference in the margins. So it looked like Sarah Gideon was winning in different sized areas, and that there weren't enough votes out there for the other challengers to basically make it back up. So that's why that call came in so early. We've also called the two statewide bond questions, no surprise there. The transportation bond and the broadband bond both passed with similar margins in the 70s, it looks like. So we believe those races are done as well. I wanted to give you an update on the 2nd Congressional District Republican primary. That's the one between Dale Crafts, Adrian Bennett, and Eric Reiki. It looks like that one is going to a ranked choice runoff probably later on tonight. We'll sort of be watching that and make that decision, but we have Dale Crafts sitting at about 45% right now. Again, about 40% of the votes are in there, so we'll see if he ticks up to 50% and avoids that ranked choice runoff, but for now that looks pretty unlikely. It's one of those races that it doesn't look like there's going to be enough votes out there for him to bump him up above the 50% margin. So this will go to a ranked choice runoff next week in Augusta, most likely, and we could know the result of that within maybe 8 to 12 days. It looks like our visuals editor, Natalie Williams, has some questions coming in for me, so I wanted to take some of those now.
Someone is asking for an update on Adrian Bennett and where she stands.
Yeah, she's at about 31% right now. Again, about 38% of the votes coming in. At this point in the race, you've got Dale Crafts about 45, her down around 31, and Eric Reiki at 25. So when you kind of play out the ranked choice runoff there, it's pretty unlikely that Adrian could come back. She'd have to win the very vast majority of those number 2 choices of Eric Reiki. So yeah, at this point, it's we're not projecting Dale Crafts as the winner yet, but it would be very hard for anyone to beat him at this point, just because the votes really aren't there.
And as we wait for more questions to come in, can you speak to a little bit about how the Senate race is going to look moving forward in the coming weeks?
Yeah, so we have our nominee, here on the Democratic side, Sarah Gideon. She will be hitting the road tomorrow. She's got visits planned along the coast, in Augusta, in Bangor. So she's going to be hitting the road, and Susan Collins is going to be in Gorham tomorrow, making a couple business visits. So that race, an immense amount of outside spending, anticipation in that race, going back to the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So it's going to be, they're going to be hitting the road, and I think you're going to see this, this virtual campaign that's going on be much more outgoing and in the public, and it's going to be a heck of a race going forward.
And what about the questions and some of the other races happening right now?
Yeah, so we're still waiting on a lot of the local races to come in. Like I said earlier, the bond questions passed easily in Maine. That's about $120 million in borrowing for transportation and broadband. We're looking at a bunch of legislative primaries as well across Maine. There are 3 Republican primaries that we're looking at in the Maine Senate. Those are ones where Governor Paul LePage endorsed candidates who were running against candidates who were backed by Maine Senate Republicans. And it looks like, from what we see so far, those 3 candidates have not done so well against the more establishment Republicans who we've had. So that's Kim Rosen, the sitting senator from Hancock County. We have another one in Hancock County as well, with Brian Langley, the former state senator, running against businessman John Linehan. Langley looks to be pretty safe in that race. We've got another one in Piscataquis County with former state senator Doug Thomas, right now behind Senator Paul Davis as well. So it looks like those three candidates who have the establishment support will be safe, but we're not calling those races quite yet.
Great. And any other updates that you think readers should know at this stage? It's a little bit before 11. where are we at right now?
Yeah, we're going to see some results continue to come in, as we go toward 12, probably for another hour, we'll have a pretty steady stream of results. There's a few wacky things going on. For example, Portland is releasing partial results right now that don't include absentee ballots, which are, the vast majority of what we're looking at today. So you're going to see totals kind of change throughout the night as well as we look at that. But yeah, it's gone relatively normally. This is a pretty normal election night, despite all the virus restrictions and what we had to deal with. But things will change a little more than they usually do. But we're pretty much on track to have most of these races pretty sussed out over the next hour, I think.
And on the point of coronavirus, how has this changed the election this year, and how do you anticipate it, changing in November when we have a much larger election?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when people were out there today, they saw longer lines, and in some places they saw, lots of sanitizing requirements. They saw consolidated polling places where you may have usually you may have a community polling place. You dealt with all that today if you were at the polls, and we're probably going to see that as we go on into November. There are, we don't know clearly what the case counts are going to look like by then, but I think absentee voting is probably here to stay for at least the rest of the year, and past that, it's probably hard to predict the future. But I do think that we're going to see increased use of absentee voting for the foreseeable future. It's just going to become part of our lives more.
Great.
All right, I think we're good here. We'll come back later on if we have anything that we need to explain. But thank you for following along with us tonight, and we will talk to you soon.